Someone is controlling you right now, and the worst part? You probably think it was your idea. That decision you made last week, the one you thought was completely yours, there's a good chance someone planted it in your head, and you thank them for it. This isn't paranoia, this is psychology. There are specific documented techniques that manipulators and advertisers use to steer your behavior. Today we're going to expose 7 of them, not so you can use them, but so you can finally see the strings. Because the moment you see them, they lose all their power. We're going to show you exactly what happens in your brain when each one is used and the exact behavior that breaks the spell. Stay until number 4. It's the one most people experience every day. Let's start with a trick so common, you've probably used it yourself. It's called the door in the face technique. Here's how it works. Someone asks you for something huge, something completely unreasonable. You say no, obviously. Then they come back with a smaller request. Okay, could you just cover me for a couple of hours? And suddenly, you say yes. It feels reasonable by comparison. But you didn't win. That smaller request was what they wanted all along. The big ask was an anchor, a psychological reference point. Your brain triggers reciprocal obligation. They gave something up, so you feel pressure to give something up too. It's social wiring. We evolved for fairness. How to spot it? Pause. Ask yourself, would I say yes to this if it was the first thing they asked? If the answer is no, someone just played you. And this connects to the next trick. Have you ever made a decision you regretted because you were rushed? That's manufactured urgency. Phrases like "this offer expires tonight" are designed to bypass your logical brain and activate your fear response. Your prefrontal cortex goes offline. The psychology is scarcity bias. When something appears limited, your brain automatically assigns it more value. It's the reason you want what you can't have. The defense is simple: delay. Just say, "I need to think about it." A legitimate opportunity will still be there, and manipulation won't survive the wait. This is the most powerful manipulation technique on this entire list, and it's the foundation of every toxic relationship, every addictive app on your phone, and every slot machine ever built. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the reason you keep going back to people and situations that hurt you. Here's the concept. When you get a reward every time you do something, your brain learns the pattern and eventually gets bored. But when rewards come randomly, sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes amazing, sometimes nothing, your brain becomes obsessed with the pattern. It can't predict it, so it keeps trying. This is exactly how slot machines work. You don't win every time, you don't even win most of the time, but that random jackpot keeps you pulling the lever. Now apply this to relationships. Think about that person who was incredibly loving one week and then cold and distant the next. The one who would ignore your messages for days, then suddenly shower you with attention. You knew they were bad for you. Everyone told you to leave, but you couldn't. That wasn't love. That was intermittent reinforcement. Your brain was addicted to the unpredictability. Every kind moment after a period of coldness triggered a massive dopamine spike, bigger than if they'd been consistently kind. Your brain was literally treating their affection like a slot machine jackpot. This same principle is why you check your phone 200 times a day. Sometimes there's a notification, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's exciting, usually it's nothing, but your brain keeps checking. How to break it? Name it seriously. When you notice yourself obsessing over someone's inconsistent behavior, say out loud, "This is intermittent reinforcement. My brain is chasing a pattern that doesn't exist." Awareness doesn't make the craving disappear instantly, but it separates you from it. You become the observer of the addiction rather than its prisoner. If this is resonating with you, consider subscribing, because we go deep into these patterns every week, and understanding them is genuinely the first step to breaking free. Most people think gaslighting is someone telling you that never happened, and it can be, but the most dangerous form of gaslighting is far more subtle than that. It's called reframing, and it works like this. You confront someone about their behavior. Let's say they embarrassed you in front of other people. Instead of acknowledging what they did, they flip the frame. "I was just joking around. You're too sensitive. I was actually trying to help you. You should be thanking me." The fact that you're upset about this shows you have deeper issues. Notice what just happened. You walked into that conversation with a legitimate concern. You walked out questioning your own emotional stability. The topic shifted from their behavior to your reaction. And now you're defending yourself instead of holding them accountable. This is psychologically devastating because it attacks your sense of reality at the most fundamental level. If someone can consistently make you question whether your feelings are valid, they can make you question anything: your judgment, your memory, your sanity. Repeated exposure to gaslighting through reframing literally rewires your neural pathways. Your brain begins to automatically route emotional responses through a filter of self-doubt. You stop trusting your own perception. The antidote: anchor statements. Before any confrontation with someone you suspect of this behavior, write down what happened and how you feel about it. Just 1 or 2 sentences. They mocked my idea in front of the team. I feel humiliated and disrespected. Then after the conversation, read what you wrote. If the conversation made you doubt what's on that paper, someone just tried to reframe your reality. And this brings us to a trick that often works alongside gaslighting. This one is sneaky because it uses a third person as a weapon, and that third person usually has no idea they're involved. Triangulation works like this. Instead of communicating with you directly, the manipulator brings someone else into the dynamic. Even your sister thinks you're overreacting. My ex never had a problem with this. I talked to my friend about our situation, and they said you're being unfair. What they're doing is isolating you. This works because of a deep evolutionary instinct. Humans survived by belonging to groups. Being judged by the group, being seen as the unreasonable one, triggers survival-level anxiety. Sometimes triangulation is even more subtle. They'll casually mention an ex or another person to make you feel jealous, insecure, or replaceable. The counter: refuse to engage with secondhand opinions. If they have something to say to me, they can say it directly. This collapses the triangle instantly. This next one is dangerous because it feels incredible at first. Love bombing is an overwhelming flood of attention and affection happening way too fast. In the early stages, they make you feel like the most important person in the world. It triggers a massive dopamine and oxytocin cocktail in your brain. Then the switch happens. Once they feel you're attached, the intensity drops, the attention fades, and now you're chasing the high of those early days. This is not love. Love builds gradually. Love is consistent. Love doesn't create emotional dependency as its foundation. Healthy relationships don't need to rush. The people who are genuinely good for you don't need to lock you down before you've had time to think. The last trick is the most sophisticated on this entire list because it disguises itself as the one thing we're all taught to value: emotional honesty. Strategic vulnerability is when someone shares deeply personal information, their childhood trauma, their insecurities, their past mistakes, not because they trust you, but because it serves a purpose. It works on 2 levels. First, it triggers your empathy. When someone shares their pain, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. You feel connected. You lower your guard. Second, it creates an unspoken debt. They gave you something precious, their vulnerability, and now social obligation says you owe them trust, forgiveness, or loyalty in return. This is why some people share their deepest trauma on the first meeting. It's not openness, it's strategy. They're fast-tracking emotional intimacy to bypass the normal trust-building process. How to tell the difference? Real vulnerability has no agenda. The person shares because the moment calls for it. Strategic vulnerability always has a follow-up, a request, a justification, or an expectation. Now here's what makes all 7 of these tricks truly dangerous. They almost never appear in isolation. A manipulator doesn't just love bomb you, they use intermittent reinforcement to keep you hooked, gaslighting when you question them, and strategic vulnerability to pull you back. It's a system. Each trick reinforces the others, and the entire system depends on one thing: your inability to see it. But think about what just happened. You learned the name, the mechanism, and the defense for each one. You now have language for experiences that used to feel confusing. This is why understanding psychology is protective. Every pattern you can name is a pattern that loses power over you. Let's talk about the patterns that show up in your daily life, the ones used by systems designed to keep you consuming and comparing. That's what we'll cover next. So here's the thing about all 7 of these tricks. None of them work once you can see them. Every single one depends on operating below your awareness. The door in the face needs you to not notice the anchor. Intermittent reinforcement needs you to not recognize the pattern. Gaslighting needs you to not trust your own perception. But now you see them, and that changes everything. The people who control others aren't smarter than you. They just understood human psychology before you did. Now the playing field is level. Here's something to think about. In the next 48 hours, you will encounter at least 2 of these techniques. In a conversation, in an advertisement, in a negotiation, maybe in a relationship, and for the first time, you'll notice it happening in real time. That awareness? That's the beginning of a different kind of power. Not the power to manipulate, the power to choose. To see the strings and decide for yourself whether to follow them or cut them. If this video helped you recognize something you've been experiencing, share it with someone who needs to see it too. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology behind human behavior, the patterns that most people never see, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We break down the invisible forces that shape your life every single week. There's a lot more to uncover, and the next video might be the one that changes how you see everything.